Hello students. Last week you learned about the SDLC, the Systems Development Lifecycle, and the 4 phases: planning, analysis, design, and implementation. We also talked about the role the systems analyst plays in systems development. This week we'll be focusing on the analysis phase, where the analyst determines the functional requirements for the new system and ultimately creates a system proposal. In this lecture video, we will look at the different techniques that are used to elicit system requirements. So basically, just finding out what the system needs to do using these techniques. And our focus will be on interviewing because that's what you will be doing for your final project. So the analysis phase is determining what the new system should do. So the goal of the analysis phase is to understand what the system's requirements are. And this involves 3 steps: understanding the existing system as is, identifying any improvements that can be made, and finally defining the requirements for the to-be system or the new system. You do this by critical thinking skills, using critical thinking skills to determine what is causing the problems. And you would apply your knowledge of the information system to outline ways to solve the problems. And that brings us to requirements determination. And it's here that you will be gathering the information that you need about the current system. A requirement is simply a statement of what the system must do or what characteristics it needs to have. During a system development project, requirements are created that provide different perspectives. For example, we may describe what the business needs, the business requirements, what the users need to do, so that would be the user's requirements, what the software should do, that would be the functional requirements, characteristics of the system should have, and that would be non-functional requirements. And finally, how the system should be built, and that would be the system requirements. When we talk about user requirements, we're looking at what the user needs to complete a needed job or task. The focus is on user tasks that are integral to whatever the operations of the business are. And finally, understanding user tasks to help find ways that the new system can support those tasks. So if you've taken a web development course, you know that you need to find out what the user's requirements are and what the functionalities you need to implement those requirements. There are also functional requirements that come from understanding how the system can support user needs. A functional requirement relates directly to a process that the system should perform as a part of supporting a user task or information it should provide as the user is performing the task. For example, assume a user requirement is schedule a dentist appointment. The functional requirements associated with that task include find available openings matching dentist availability, select desired appointment, record appointment, and confirm appointment. So these functional requirements expand on the user's task to describe capabilities and functions that the system will need to include, which will allow the user to complete the task. With functional requirements, we have process-oriented and information-oriented. This form is from your text. A process-oriented functional requirement is something that the system must do. And examples would be the system must allow registered customers to review their own order history for the past 3 years. The system must check incoming customer orders for inventory availability. The system should allow students to view a course schedule while registering for class. And so those are all different processes that are inherent in the system. Information-oriented functional requirements would be any information that the system must contain already. So examples would be retain customer order history for 3 years, include real-time inventory levels at warehouses, and include budgeted and actual sales and expense amounts for a current year. So this is like information that's stored in the system, in database, likely, yes. So an example for a cataloging system, like say in a library process would, the system must allow patrons to search the database by title, author, And an example of an information functional requirement would be the system must include like real-time inventories of all the books in the collection. There are also non-functional requirements, which are the behavioral properties that the system must have, and we have operational and performance. So operational, it's the physical and technical environments in which the system operates. And so examples of that would be it must run on Android mobile devices, or it should be able to integrate with the existing inventory system, should be compatible with any web browser. So those operational, just think physical and technical things. And performance obviously has to do with speed, reliability, and capacity. And so some requirements would be like the interaction between the user and the system should not exceed 2 seconds. So it shouldn't take long. The system downloads new status parameters within 5 minutes of a change. System should be available 24 hours a day, 365 days per year. And that would be a system if it operates internationally, or if users need to access it 24 hours a day. And the system supports 300 simultaneous users from 9 to 11 and 150. So these are just, what does the system require to maintain speed and reliability? So that's the performance. And then non-functional requirements, we have security and cultural and political. So for security, who can access the system and why, like in which circumstances. Managers can only see personal records of staff. Technicians can only see their own work assignments. And for security, the system includes all the secure software that it needs. Cultural and political, those are like legal requirements, that political and legal requirements that affect the system. So examples, they should be able to distinguish between U.S. currency and currency from other nations. Company policy, if it's only to buy computers from Dell, which is like Simmons, that's one of our policies. We can only buy computers from Dell. Country managers are permitted to authorize custom user interfaces within their units, and then also protecting personal data. So those would be non-functional. Then there are the documenting requirements, which include a requirements definition report. And this is a text document listing requirements in outline form. And it's organized in logical groupings, and it may include things that are priority. The main purpose is to define the scope of the project. Basically, what is included and what is not. So that is an introduction to the requirements determination. And for the next lecture video, we will take a look at techniques used to gather the information that you need to design this new system. As part of your team activity for this week, you will be using one of these techniques, interviewing, to elicit requirements for our student registration system here at Simmons. I'll see you in the next video.